Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today I am joined from Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today I am joined by Tony from Plus One EXP. We are talking about 10 incredible indie RPGs. 10 worlds, adventures, mechanics, systems, things that do D&D different that you can explore and dive into. Tony, do you want to introduce yourself and then start talking, because I'm just here to observe and listen and be excited.
My name is Tony.
Probably buy some things.
I'm Chief Alchemist over at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation, meaning we publish games, we design games, we cover other people's games, so similar to what you do here on Quackalope, but for indie and small press RPGs. Yeah. Plus, we make beard and skincare products inspired by classic tabletop culture.
It's a good combination.
We're having fun with it. So I want to tell you about 10 games that I think everybody should check out. I've also got 2 bonus ones that I want to show off just for the format, but 10 kind of proper ones. And we're going to start with what is one of my top 3 favorite games of all time. Yeah. When I say top 3, what I really mean is it's my favorite and I don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings.
That's very nice of you.
And that's Aaron King's Patchwork World. So there is a game called Apocalypse World, right? Okay. It's by Vincent Baker. It's started a movement of design called Powered by the Apocalypse, and you might be most familiar with this from the Avatar, the Legends,
the Magpie
Kickstarter campaign, the Magpie campaign, that $10 million-ish Kickstarter.
Heard about it, yeah.
Right.
In fact, backed it. It's over there on the shelf right now.
But this game is also powered by the Apocalypse, meaning you're going to roll 2d6 and then look at some sort of mixed success. Okay. But what this game does is, rather than say, here's a whole bunch of playbooks, which are like a 2-page kind of character sheet or guide, it says, hey, we've taken a whole bunch of different abilities and you're going to pick 2 of them, right? And those 2 abilities are going to define your character. And Aaron has them all kind of printed out here separately in the middle of the book. But it is amazing, weird, gonzo stuff that are going to absolutely matter for the way that you play your character. So some of the strange abilities you might have the ability to become cats. When you burst into 1d6 cats, roll minus cats. On a 10+, you retain control of all the cats, and each one can act individually. On a 7 to 9, you retain control of the cats, but they must move and act as a herd. On a 6-, 1 cat gains independent sentience, and you must befriend them before you can meld them back into your original body.
There are bees in you. When you're wounded or distressed, they emerge and fight in your defense. Why is this?
Bean counter. But there's also more classic ones in addition to things like fungal weirdness or God inside or goat legs. You can just have a really cool sword, and that could be your ability. Yeah. But rather than you having stats in this game, every single time you have a move or use a certain type of move, you're going to ask yourself a couple of questions that will influence how well you roll. They'll give you a little bit of bonuses.
Map Maker, you can't get lost if you can see the sky.
Yeah. Great ability.
Yeah.
So, like for this one, you're a merry carouser. So when you party with others, roll with the questions: did you provide food, drink, or song? Does everyone feel safe enough to loosen up a little bit? If you say yes to either of these questions, you get a +1 on your roll, increasing the likelihood that you're going to roll high.
This system is designed around really cool combinations of powers and abilities that are quirky or weird or interesting or just fun to play with.
Right. And the question-based mechanic lets you decide how well you're going to set yourself up. Do you have food or drink to share with everybody? If so, then you can say yes.
Did you put on your balaclava?
Did you put on your balaclava?
We all know you didn't.
Are you in a space where everybody feels like they can relax?
Yeah.
If you say yes, you're going to get bonuses. It's a very cool game. It doesn't require you to learn playbooks. It's very easy to get it to play. Also, your parents might have been eaten by whales. Oh. Your grandmother might be haunting you and take over your body sometime.
We all know that.
Or you might just be on a quest. There's a lot of very grounded options and a lot of very cool options. One of my favorite games to play of all time.
Sold, I'm in. What's next?
In Extremis. In Extremis is a Lumen system game. The Lumen system was created by Spencer Campbell. This game is by Keegan EXE. It's a +1 publication, so full transparency. I'm a shill. But Keegan...
Or you just invest in the things you love.
That's true. Lumen systems are like video game power fantasies. So the first one that came out was called Light. It was very much Destiny with the serial number filed off, right? And that's what Spencer created. And so it's a dice pool system. You're going to roll d6s, look at the highest result. The more you have in a stat, the more dice you're going to roll. And it gets up and plays really quick. This one is necromancers in space fighting against like weird aliens, crows, and other stuff like that in a dead world on the edge of a solar system. So it's very, very cool. They have these giant space leviathans that look kind of like ticks. I wrote a class in this one that is basically your character has already died and you are just a piece of their body left over. So I took a character I played in one stream, right, who was able to control hair and fingernails. Yeah. And took that character who had a very long beard, who used it like a whip, right? Very Bayonetta style. And I was just a whip made out of hair after they had died. And I was sentient and able to move around. And I could communicate with somebody if they were holding me, but that was it. But I granted them a whole lot of extra power. So I was a very weird type of support character. But if you like Necromancers in Space, if you like video game style role-playing games, Lumen Systems and In Extremis by Keegan EXE is an absolutely phenomenal game.
Cool.
Great Soul Train Robbery. It's a game of desperados robbing the train to hell. Now, you may have heard of Honey Heist, right? It's a very popular game that Critical Role and some other people have played.
Sure.
You have two stats. In that game, they are bear and criminal, right?
Okay.
In this one, they are lover and sinner. So if you do something that is love or virtue oriented, you roll under your lover. If you roll one that's violence or sin or self-indulgent, you try to get under sinner. But the train itself on the way to hell is procedurally generated. There might be angel wings on there that you're trying to steal. There might be the deed to your town. There might be a secret map to the underworld. There's all kinds of things you could be, and it's piloted by maybe the devil himself, but more likely one of the 7 deadly sins, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and that's going to warp and shape the way that the train itself runs. And as you fight your way through, for whatever your reasons for being there are, you're going to have to deal with these complex moral decisions, but the system itself is a D6 roll under.
It's reminding me of like Vagrant Song, which is going to be a board game that's a boss battler set in this, lost souls journeying down. Also things like Snowpiercer. Like this is a genre that I'm very comfortable with, and it would be excited to play in. Mixed it with that little bit of Wild West, a little bit of like Wandering Soul, over the garden wall style thing. This makes me want to play this. And then do a direct, on the channel, if you like Vagrant Song, here's the RPG for you.
I love that. We should do more of those
in the future. If you like Gloomhaven, here's the RPG for you.
Yeah,
I feel like you and I could make a really strong combination on that, too.
Yeah.
Because I've got the board game side.
I got the RPG side.
Aww.
Himbos of Myth and Metal. This one, when people see this, the title and the cover will oftentimes immediately sell people. This is taking the beloved Himbo side character in many a classic pulp adventure or fantasy game and thrusting them into the limelight. You are playing as a Himbo, and you can do things like this. I marked this page because there are just rules in here for being hot.
It's undeniable. Himbos are sexy. It's not always intentional, but being large and helpful is hot. And you should play them as such, and when you do, they get stronger. At the start of each session, each player rolls a d4 to determine their heat. Heat can be exchanged to add 1 to any target number. Additionally, if you think another character is doing something ridiculously good looking, you can gift them a heat to add to their pool.
Yeah. So, it's a really great thing. The core stats are chest, lips, thighs, and hands.
Yeah.
And the reality is if you get hurt and you die, you take a scar. That scar moves you from being a himbo, but it moves you towards being a hero. And so it kind of deconstructs that himbos usually are the moral conscience of the hero.
You don't actually want to become the hero.
You don't want to become the hero because heroes actually do things that tend to be toxic in the world also, too, in addition to doing the good that they try to do also, too. The game also is, as it says on the back, a little horny. Gun and Slinger is a 2 to 3 player RPG by Dino Berry Press, created by Nevin Holmes. There are actually a couple additional games in the back of this, but you basically are playing a sentient gun and the person who wields them. Optionally, you can have a third player who kind of functions as the GM, or you can just play.
Reminds me of some of the first season storylines from Critical Role.
Yeah, and also things like the Dark Tower, other things like that. Strong vibes for that. You create a little bit of a weird world. The gun has a special ability. The wielder has a special ability, and you kind of weave and build out the story together as you go. So it's a very, very cool game. We played a 3-player version on stream with a GM who kind of controlled the world, and then me and Vidikia, along with Nevin, got to play as Gun and Slinger. So just had an absolute blast playing this game.
Playing the gun, Or is one player playing a slinger and one player's playing a gun? How does that divide up?
So one person is playing as the gun.
Yeah.
The gun is sentient. It can talk. It can sometimes act on its own. The other is playing the slinger. The third person kind of functions as the GM and controls the world and everything around.
That's really interesting because you've got a hand controlling it, but the gun decides
the gun
itself.
And you can point the gun, but the gun decides if it shoots or not.
Yeah, I put you back in my holster. I shoot.
Right. And so the other fun thing is on the tail end here, they did some scenarios and starting points, but they also did some additional hacks that you can check out also too. So like Sword and Bearer takes that and throws it into a fantasy world.
So they're doing what the fan community ends up doing anyway, which is modding their own system a little bit and working with people who have modded their system.
Correct, and that's what's here. We also have one coming out called Butt and Head that is it's a centaur base. So you've got the horse body and the human top navigating the world together. So that'll be coming out to +1. But it's such a great game, super intimate, absolutely love it, great layout.
I want to see a mod for Butt and Head that is just two people in a costume.
I absolutely, and you could play it that way. That's the other thing. So Questlandia, the reason it's on here, I haven't had a chance to dive into the second edition, but Hannah Schaefer and Evan Rowland really are the people who introduced me to the world of indie role-playing games through things like the One Shot Network, through some of their work over there.
What matters most in the face of collapse? What a question.
Yeah, and it's a world-building game, but you're building a kingdom that is going to collapse, and you're telling the story of what happens during that collapse to the people who live there. The world-building genre is not an uncommon game, and even the Fallen world is not an uncommon theme within that. This was really one of the earliest games that came out that did that, though. Cool. And they have done an incredible job doing the second edition, updating things, creating a whole lot more options, but you just need a deck of cards and dice to play.
You're about to tell the story of a changing world. You and your friends will dream up a kingdom that is strange and vulnerable. You'll meet people living within it as they struggle to find their own meaning and purpose against the backdrop of a failing society.
Yeah, I love it.
That's my type of. That's
it's
my
your
type
vibes.
Of
yeah.
intro,
Oh yeah. Necronauts, I think you're also going to love, because why would I put it in front of you if I didn't think you were going to love it?
Right now. Yeah.
So Necronauts is by World Champ Game Co. Adam Voss, great partner, great friend. Really love Adam. Adam is also the bassist in La Dispute, the band, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but they are a popular band. Cool. And somebody out there just heard that and got really excited.
Just freaked out.
Yeah. Like they're like, what? He makes games also too?
Yeah, man.
So you go ahead and read this this flavor text.
Every bug you've ever stepped on is here, breathing the same noxious air as every star that ever burnt out in this eternal post-life planetary system. And yet against all odds, on each planet's surface, new life is breeding, spawning endless creatures, plants, and people to inhabit Death's domain. Through their emissaries, the blind god Death oversees the galaxy and its denizens. They stave off the power-hungry lords, catalog the ever-expanding planetary system, track those who would evade their inevitable fate, and maintain the proper order. These tasks are executed by soul-bound clouds of toxic gas, the Death Agents.
So you're going to play as a Death Agent, right? You used to be a person, you are now dead, you're in the realm of death, and you are going around cataloging all these super bizarre planets. You have no body or emotions or autonomy, and if you start to regain them, the rest of your party might turn on you. You have certain words of power that you can control. If you overpower them or if you roll poorly, those words will fracture, meaning you as a player eliminate a letter from that word and then re-scramble it to spell a new word that now gives you a new type of spell, basically, that you can cast. But you can do anything from the realm of that word, but you have to be careful with it. And you can gain new memories to gain new worlds. But Adam does absolutely gonzo beautiful things in layout also, too. Does all the art for this, does all the layout. Just does incredibly great things. And you get to say the coolest things when you play a game that Adam designs. I absolutely love Necronauts is the name of the game. There is one expansion that's out, another adventure that's coming soon. He does these little micro adventures also too, but absolutely great.
I'm so into that one.
Not unfamiliar to a lot of people, this next one probably. It was a smash hit a couple of years ago. It's Wanderhome by Jay Dragon.
I saw this. I didn't back it myself. But I think I went to this campaign, or went. Was it a campaign originally?
Yeah, it was $300,000 campaign.
So I think I went to the campaign probably a dozen times, and I just didn't have the funds to do it in all in. Right. At the time, it was a season that was not liquid, but
so
this is beautiful.
Wanderhome is a pastoral fantasy game where you're playing animals wandering around the Haith, this kind of non-defined land. There was a war that happened. You can decide if you want to be exploring the fallout of that war after it's ended and the scars on the land.
You're telling me this is awesome?
or play fully pastorally.
I hate the fact that I don't own it now.
Well, you know,
I stared at it.
There are 10,000 copies bound for the warehouse right now that'll be here in a week or so. So you can absolutely go to Boston Creek site and pick up a copy.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, and I actually think the new printings are even a little bit better than. I mean, these original ones were absolutely phenomenal, but the new printings are absolutely gorgeous also. With just a few minor changes. But
so the experience of this, what makes it? What's the standout?
Yeah, so it's a belonging outside belonging game. There's no dice. It's a diceless system. You've got different types of moves, some of which will get you tokens that you can then spend to do other certain things that kind of exert your character's will in the world. And there's also some that will allow you to pass tokens to other people. So you're all just kind of exploring this world together. You develop the world you're exploring as you go. So you can play GM-less or GM. It's kind of a GM agnostic setting, but you can randomly generate all the different settings you're going through.
I love finding sentences.
Yeah, go ahead.
The road has a song all to its own. Press your ear against my chest and you'll hear it.
Yeah. The writing, the art, the small decisions, even the layout, the wide margins, the space to kind of make this book your own. So great. My favorite thing about this actually is just the seasons of the year and the events that happens in the seasons, because they're all made up. The months and time pass as you travel around, and you can kind of look at what's happening in the world based on some of the stuff that's written. But the setting is yours to shape, and that's it. You're shaping the setting, you're finding problems in it, and you're solving them without violence.
Now, this is a bigger book.
Yeah.
Which immediately makes me start thinking, I'm going to have a hard time playing it. I will have an easy time owning it, but a hard time playing it. What's the puzzle like to get this up and running?
There is a quick start, but really, everybody's going to pick a playbook that they want. And again, games that have playbooks tend to mean you as a player really only need to know what is on your playbook. And even a lot of these, you're making choices, right? So you're picking, if you're a caretaker, someone must pay attention to all the small and forgotten things in the world. Someone must listen to the voiceless. You are alive. Your care is tender, supportive, and silent. Choose a name and some pronouns. You choose your name, you choose your pronouns. You choose 3 or 4 things that describe your look. You choose 5 friends that hide in the many shrines you carry, because the caretaker carries these little small forgotten gods around with them, and they each can do different little things. So Guile, a god of gately winds, Lilt, a god of a tossicide creature, Stone, a coal tapping god. You pick some that go in your shrines, and then you pick a couple more things, and you're set to go. You generate the world in the same way. Back in the back here, there are different types of events that could be happening in the world and different types of setting. You basically pick 2 options, you blend them together, and you talk as a table. So you're immediately playing. Just doing character creation in this feels like playing a satisfying RPG, and then you start playing.
Cool.
All right, we're going to look at 2 books side by side from 2 different creators for this last one, because these are supplemental support pieces. This is Into the Sets and Citadel, which we have talked a couple times this weekend about, Into the Weird and Wild, both by Charlie Ferguson Avery. This one is still shipping out to backers, but I met Charlie in a dark parking lot behind a truck stop and swapped out some lip balm for this.
Can you just give me that?
The city eats people, never forget that, which on the back of Into the Weird and Wild, the woods do not care for you, never forget that. But this is basically a set of tools for generating a constantly shifting, which this is my vibe, constantly shifting city that is out to get you all the weird things that exist underneath it, above it, inside of it. Nobles that behave and act like gods, signed by Alex and Charlie. The art is all done by Charlie and Alex. It's absolutely gorgeous. So different factions in the city, different districts in the city, how to generate treasures. Nobles, like I said, who are so high above the people that they act like haughty gods.
The book design here is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get a Fairlandy Studio or Wedding Game book and not get a beautiful book. Like, you just see all these amazing things. And there is a 3rd one coming out in this series that I know what is, but I cannot tell you about yet. But I'm very excited about that also too. So all kinds of cool, weird stuff. I actually created a custom class in Down We Go called Townie. That's again an alternate for the Sneaky for when we played this session. And Charlie and I collaborated on a few custom backgrounds for the characters that were based on some of this stuff. I love this one, and I love We Sail Beyond. We Sail Beyond is a world-building game also too, but it's a great prep for a game that you're going to GM. Because what you do is it all starts in a tavern, right? You ask, it's people overhearing rumors and talking about what the world around them looks like, and they're going to start building a map as they go. And they're going to roll randomly to see kind of what are some of the different elements of the map and what are some of the different rumors that they overhear as they're in there. And so it's kind of a little mini role-playing session and world building at the same time. But here's the thing, at the end of that, you have two maps. You have the map the players know about and what they think from all the rumors they've gathered, and you have the actual map that the GM has in front of them that is different than but similar to the player's map. These both do a lot of things with random rolls and random generations, but create rich opportunities for narrative. They're also both got this great paint scheme going on. Yep. But this is by Matt Sanders from Sealed Library, who does a phenomenal solo game called Sealed Library. There's one called Have You Heard About the Beast, which is generating monsters in a similar way. And so I just love everything Matt does. For our house OSR systems, I could, with just books like this, play infinitely, and they fuse perfectly into a lot of what we look at in the modern kind of old school movement right now that meshes very well with story gameplay also too, kind of two major thoughts in RPGs. So those are 10 RPGs or RPG concepts that I think people should look at, but I have two bonuses, and I know we've gone a little long, but I want to talk about these because these are all books. These are bigger things. You even mentioned like, hey, this is looking like a little bit more than I could get into. I want to counter that with these two games, and I put them as extra because I know the person who designed them very well because it is me, right? This is iToaster. It's a collaboration between Plus One and Exalted Funeral, but I just want to show people, like, this is the entire game. This is it right here. iToaster is essentially Brave Little Toaster with the serial number files off. It's my attempt to process my trauma of seeing that movie on rainy day Saturdays growing up and watching a air conditioning unit explode in the window, having like a coronary 5 minutes in. But do you want to read the little flavor text there?
The world is big. We are small. The world is cold. Our hearts are warm. The owner was not made for us. We were made for the owner. To nourish, to clean, to comfort, to serve. We are here when they need us. We hope that they need us.
So it's about people trying, or about appliances, and you start by making an appliance sheet. You've got a charge. You can roll randomly to generate all this stuff, or pick off the pick list. It's very hard to get repaired if you get damaged, so it is can be a little bit lethal, but also as long as you get repaired, you'll pop back up at some point in time. And you have different features, accessories, things that appliances would have, and you navigate a world around you filled with big problems. The entire game itself, the rules are only about 5 quarter-page pages. This is the core rules. This is an adventure by Madeline Ember that takes you through what happens if you accidentally get replaced because your owner got a whiz gizmo and sold you at a yard sale.
That can do everything.
Yeah. And so, very fun game. And then Terrific Tony's Pizza Patrol. This is based on Nate Trim's Tunnel Goons, but you're basically playing as a member of a pizza delivery crew trying to make rent on your pizza place and prevent the forces of evil from overtaking the world as you do. This is the character sheet. These are the core rules. This is how you randomly generate what a customer orders when they order it. You do have to deliver it in 30 minutes or less. It takes you 5 minutes to make the pizza typically, and if you screw up, you have to start again. And then you go out to different destinations you need to deliver things and enter into detours on the way back. You've got 30 minutes, so each of these is a 5-minute clock. And then you have to make a certain amount of rent each month to do things. This is also your delivery zone map. So as different detours come up, you actually draw on the map the destinations. There is so much here in a tiny little trifold. Yeah. Do you want to take note of the destinations there?
We have Appliance Alley, Beard Boulevard, Christmas Circle, Drifter Drive, Repugnant Road, and Via de la Void.
All other games that I have made because I am a selfless shill. But yeah, we actually this is like a $5 game. There's digital versions, so you can make copies of the character sheets. But you could easily toss this in, play for 30 or 40 minutes, be done, get on to the rest of game night if you wanted to. So I want to show people that a lot of these scenes, a lot of the things that we're looking at, you have big full games, total huge systems that have big book support, and then you've got small little games like this that'll cost you $5 or $6 and also provide endless hours of play.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for this whole week. Just this is one of the last videos that we're doing together. But man, this has just been a journey in and a re-falling in love with this side of the hobby that I've missed for a long time. So this has been very meaningful for me. It's been very exciting. If you've watched to this point, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Here at Quackalope, we're going to continue trying to bridge the gap and bring more RPG stuff into this realm because I personally would love to have that here on this channel or on another side channel or just maybe over on your channel where I get a chance to maybe
play anytime.
Play and express myself a bit. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing.
Play a tabletop game.
Play a tabletop game. We'll see you next time.